Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's midday Western U.S. regional forecast video brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. Well, we got to start off today with this map, which shows upper level flow pattern here for Saturday morning, because we're going to see some pretty sizable change in the overall structure of the atmosphere as we move into the middle of this upcoming week. Specifically, what I'm talking about is the deep troughs that we currently have sitting here over the northeast and in the Gulf of Alaska, with the large ridge that's pinched in between. That's the one that goes right here, clear up from, well, Mexico clear into the Arctic. That whole flow pattern is going to begin to shift. We need to keep a very close eye on two pieces here, this trough and this trough. Now, what they look like, if you just want to see what that flow is, here's the first one and here's the second one, and there's that ridge that runs up the west coast and the broad trough that's sitting here over the eastern part of the United States. So again, this is the same view, just now put into motion. Well, what this is doing to us right now is this, okay? Before this pattern changes, look at the broad sector over here in the eastern part of the United States that is under frost advisory, frost watch, freeze advisory, freeze warning. That deepest color there kind of trumps all of it, and that would be our freeze warning area. We have a large front that's sweeping through this area. High pressure is going to come in behind it, make it very, very cold in several hours in terms of the duration of the cold here in the eastern Corn Belt. Meanwhile, up the west coast, the heat is just building in this direction, and we need to see what that's going to do, because this is Saturday morning's minimum temperatures. While parts of the western United States will be seeing minimum temperatures that are 15 to maybe 20 degrees above average, we're going to be seeing a freeze event. Look at this. You can see how far to the south that freeze extends. So this is certainly going to be impacting a lot of crops in the eastern part of the country. Well, the change is going to look like this by the time we get to Wednesday morning. Now, what we've noticed is, look at the broad troughing that is now extending through this whole region here from the Aleutian Islands, the tip of the Aleutian Islands, clear to Idaho. And as that happens, that changes everything. This prevents the jet stream from racing north-south and now flattens it out, makes it a whole lot more zonal. And it comes in like this, and then ridges out before going into that deeper trough that's now finally moving by Wednesday morning out through the Canadian Maritimes and into the North Atlantic. This is going to have a huge impact not only on our temperatures, but on the precipitation patterns across the west coast. Let me show you the precipitation first. This is just an animation every hour. We're going to go out for the next 5 days here, looking at every hour in terms of total accumulated precip. We're through Saturday. Now we're into Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, and evening. I'm going to pause it right there, because under some of that heat, we may possibly get some monsoonal-like thunderstorms coming up here into parts of Arizona and New Mexico. But you'll notice this again if I just play this forward for you. As we move out that far, it's going to take until, let's just speed it up a little bit. This is Saturday into Sunday, now getting into Monday, and by Tuesday, ready? See this? This is late Monday afternoon and early in the day on Tuesday. That's when we finally start to see that pattern adjust, and it's going to be bringing in precipitation. Look at that precip that's coming into Northern California, coastal Oregon, and coastal Washington. Does it get over into the Columbia Basin? Will be a big question we're going to have out to about day 10 here. We don't see it getting in there, but right along the coast, adding quite a bit of precipitation. So our rain shadow, our natural rain shadow, is missing out on this. Southern California missing out on this initially, but some big rainfall possibly coming in here to the coast, and we're going to watch that very carefully. So to show you the timing of this will play pretty quickly. I don't have to show you anything to about right there. So this is now Tuesday morning. The high pressure cell that's in place is going to prevent a lot of this from getting here, but by Tuesday morning we get our first low pressure system getting close to the coast, such that by Tuesday midday, getting into afternoon and evening hours, we're bringing in widely scattered precip here across Northern California, Oregon, and parts of Washington. But again, Columbia Basin not getting into any of this. But do notice that after that, that high pressure cell, instead of being here, is there. And now the pattern comes right over the top of it, such that by next Thursday into next Friday, it's now guiding systems into the Pacific Northwest as the broader trough really begins to take shape here. So what that does is that puts us into a wetter pattern as we move out here into the 3rd and 4th weeks of the month of May. Now, just looking exclusively at the time period here, this is going to be about the 17th through the 22nd. We now see that this whole area is showing up with a wetter bias. Now remember, wetter than normal in May might, over a week's time period, just be a few tenths of an inch of precipitation. but it's a few tenths of an inch of precipitation. Where I think the models maybe overdid this is possibly in through here into the Columbia Basin and into the Snake River Valley, and we'll have to see how far to the south we do get these wetter conditions. But one thing is for certain, with the with the pattern changing, the temperatures are going to be getting cooler as well. We'll get to that in a second. I want to watch to see if we do get any sort of an improvement out of this map as we go through these next couple of weeks. This is our latest drought monitor released yesterday. Honestly, it's kind of strange to say this, but for the West Coast, I want you to be watching drought here and here. You might be saying, well, why watch it there? Well, if that drought in those two areas expands throughout the month of May and into early June, there's a feedback that happens with this that may enhance more ridging across the central United States. But we got to see that drought area really get bigger and bigger, okay? And if that occurs, that tends to leave, well, more troughing in the jet stream out west, which tends to give us cooler summers and possibly more thunderstorm activity. Now, I'm going to just tell you, there's a big if on this. We got to watch, because over the next 2 weeks, with the change in this pattern, this whole area is expected to be wet, and that could really work on eroding some of that drought that just stepped into that region. So you can see here over the last month, it's just been a one-class degradation in both of these areas. We've seen improvement over the last month, as you can see in southern half of California, but where that rain's coming in soon, what I'm excited about is over the last month we saw a 1 to 2 class degradation. We could be improving that in that area. I don't anticipate change though here or in the Snake River Valley. All right, so let's talk temperatures now. Maximum temperatures today, we've got widespread upper 90s through the Central Valley of California. Then as you work your way up that I-5 corridor, lower 90s, upper 80s here. Very warm conditions. In some places right in through here might be up to 20 to 25 degrees warmer than average. So very warm conditions. Now that's Friday. Watch as I play this through Saturday. Another hot one on Saturday. Getting now into Sunday. Remember, this is about the time the pattern begins to change into Monday. See that? Now we're going back over into the upper 70s, right around, 80 to lower 80s in the Central Valley, with 70s here in the Northwest. So after this, though, watch out. Here comes Tuesday's highs and departure from normal. Now we're talking about 60s and 70s through California. And then as we get into Wednesday and Thursday, that seems to hang on. Now, to be honest, this will be beautiful, but it's colder than average. That's cooler than average weather here. As a direct consequence of those cooler temperatures, look at how our forecast for the next 7 days in terms of evaporation really drops off. Where we typically see 1 inch to 2 inches here in the Central Valley, now we're talking about, well, 1 inch or less of total evaporation. So this cooler weather with precip coming in is really going to knock back our, what will be this weekend, high evapotranspiration rates. Beyond that, what about days 5 through 10? Well, you can see in the temperatures here still some cooler bias. As we work our way out day 10 through 15, look at the heat rebounding here after a massive freeze event, and now the cooler weather sitting here over the western part of the United States. So we do know that for some crops, the arrival of this rainfall could be detrimental. We don't want to rain on any pollination time period. We don't want to rain on the young fruit. And so we have to watch this very carefully. But these cooler temperatures, normally in May, we like to accumulate quite a bit of heat and then cool things off midsummer. That would be ideal. But in the near term, this highly amplified pattern, this is what we're getting here as we work our way out into the 3rd week of the month of May. Longer term, just want to show you one last figure here. This is May 8th through June 8th. A lot of the wetter bias you see here is coming in the week 2 time period. The big question we have for the European model and others is, do they sustain that through the end of May and beginning of June? So we'll watch it very carefully. I'll report back to you on Monday to see if this temperature and precipitation pattern has legs to it, if it's going to last for a while. And we'll see what the impacts will be on agriculture across the western part of the United States. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you again very soon. Thank you.